Hello and welcome to India Tonight with me Ankur Mishra and my colleague Sumita Kari joining from Delhi studio. And Sumita, we are going to start the show with the biggest corporate story. Years after dramatic Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry feud that shook India Inc. and exposed deep fault lines within the Tata Group, the spotlight is once again on governance, control and consensus at the salt to software conglomerate. Yes, I am talking about Tata Sons, and in a significant turn of events, Tata Sons chairman N Chandrasekaran has sought to defer discussions, and that is on his reappointment for third term.
Absolutely, Ankur. In fact, sources indicate to ET now that while the board broadly supports Chandrasekaran's extension, unanimity was missing at that meeting that was underway today. In fact, Noel Tata is understood to have set certain conditions, including firm assurances that the Tata Sons group, Tata Sons, will not be listed. So is history repeating itself? Not quite. At least not yet. But the developments at Bombay House, they serve as a reminder that the Tata Group and leadership transitions are never just procedural. They're deeply intertwined with trust, governance, and the long shadow of past boardroom battles. In fact, while leaving Tata House, N Chandra said that he himself recommended the deferment of the decision at the Bombay House. Let's listen into what Mr. Chandra had to say.
I recommended it should be deferred because that was a request made by one of the directors, and so it was.
What's the way forward, Chandra, now from
we will
here
see.
in terms of leadership?
Today. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Chandra.
Thank you.
Good night.
Sorry you waited for so long. You should have actually.
So one more statement from you will really help, sir. One more statement from you will really help.
Yes.
What exactly
transpired?
No, but see, board meetings are board meetings. So we shouldn't be talking about the board meetings.
So the certain details are already out that, you know, how...
I
So were
suggested
there
that it be
any,
deferred.
from the promoter side, from the trust side,
Thank
were
you.
there issues
Thank
raised,
you.
Chandra?
I'm not
All right.
But so the part where it was said that, you know, the performance of every company of the group, there was a lot about that also. Any comment on that, sir, that how one company's performance cannot be a benchmark?
All right, what changes for Tata Group, Chandra, from here? What changes?
Nothing changes.
And ET now has been consistently reporting on the matter. In fact, my colleague Anurag Joshi has sent a report earlier. Let's take a look at that.
The board of Tata Sons has deferred a decision to reappoint N Chandrasekaran for a third straight term starting February 2027. The board met on Tuesday, and one of the key proposals before the directors was to approve the appointment of Chandrasekaran for the third term. Noel Tata, a director on the board, put certain conditions for his approval to the proposal to reappoint N Chandrasekaran, and one of the key conditions put by Noel Tata is that Chandrasekaran will ensure that Tata Sons remains an unlisted company. It is not listed, and he wanted a surety on this. The Reserve Bank of India is yet to give its decision on the exemption of Tata Sons as an upper layer NBFC. Noel Tata also raised the concerns about the performance of certain group firms and wanted the overall performance of the Tata Group to be assessed at a group level. N Chandrasekaran was keen that his reappointment should be by unanimity and not by vote, and that's been one of the key reasons why his reappointment has been deferred at the board meeting today.
Well, that's my colleague Anurag, who has been consistently reporting on the matter. And to make sense of what the story essentially is looking like, what to make of the story moving forward, we're now joined by Sanjay Hegde. He's a senior lawyer. Along with him, Mr. Hobi Ranina, Advocate, Supreme Court and Corporate Advisor. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now on this very crucial story that we're trying to decode for our viewers. Let me come to you, Mr. Ranina, first. Now, Mr. N. Chandra himself deferred the decision onto another date while Mr. Noel Tata set certain conditions for Mr. Chandra to continue as chairman. There is a contradictory stance that we're seeing coming through from both the sides. How do you really read into the developments of today?
Well, all that I would like to say is that Chandrasekaran has behaved like a gentleman. He doesn't want to push things. he wants the directors to weigh things and take into account whatever anxieties or uncertainties which have been expressed by Noel Tata. So I think that the whole idea of Chandrasekaran was to say, let's put it in the background for the time being and let's think about it coolly. And that I think is the correct way to go ahead, because this is a very important point. You see, you must understand that if Mr. Chandrasekaran has to be, his term is not to be renewed, then the whole procedure of finding a chairman will have to begin, because under the Articles of Association of Tata Sons, you need to have a search committee. And that search committee will have to then take time to find out who are the best candidates available and then make a selection and then recommend them to the board of Tata Sons. That's the procedure which was followed when Cyrus Mistry was appointed. And the same procedure will now have to be followed. So why the whole object of this is to make sure that Mr. Chandrasekaran's appointment is, if at all not to be renewed, then the search committee will have to be appointed and a successor will have to be found out.
Definitely,
This
definitely,
is very
Mr.
unfortunate, because I think we need a lot of clarity and certainty in this organization. Tata is the premier global organization of India.
Definitely, and in recent past, it has become quite uncertain. If you look at past 6 months or so, there has been instances which was not expected, at least in Tata boardroom. We talk about Cyrus Mistry versus Ratan Tata earlier, but now boardroom battle is kind of a situation which we are seeing currently at Tata Sons board meeting. How do you read, Mr. Hegde, the whole issue? While there were source-based information which came out that there were certain conditions which were put, but how often do you see that someone who is supposed to get reappointment and you're asking that there should be conditional kind of approval?
No, it's not exactly conditions. It was some milestones to be achieved in one sense, or continuity to be assured that it would not be diluted in any manner whatsoever. So these are the concerns of the shareholders who represent the Tata family. Mr. Chandrasekaran has, to my mind, played it smart. He has not pushed the situation to where there is a voting and one person feels aggrieved, or a major shareholder or a representative of a major shareholder feels aggrieved. So he said we shall wait for unanimity. Let's defer this decision. He probably knows that there is no alternative contender in that sense. Continuing him for a third term was something which was seen almost as an inevitable. And as Mr. Ranina correctly points out, if they have to have a successor, then they have to go through the search committee route, which will take its own sweet time. What markets hate is uncertainty.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Hegde, you've made a very, very valid point, and the way that Mr. Chandra acted today out of maturity, and of course, perhaps this points out to the fact that, there might not be a successor, and Mr. N Chandra could continue very well beyond February 2027. But let me ask you a follow-up question. Now, board members, according to what sources told my colleague, they attributed losses to investments undertaken in new ventures. Now, is that a valid concern that has been put forth, given the long gestation period of these projects, including in the semicon and digital businesses? And how do you really expect Mr. Chandra to respond?
Mr. Chandra has essentially told them that unless all of you are on board and want my continuance, I may or may not. And while he has a valid defense that these are long gestation projects, shareholders and directors are bound to ask questions. What is a long gestation period? Where do we see the light at the end of the tunnel? Are we going the correct way? They are entitled to ask those questions. Ultimately, when it comes to these top jobs, it is a question of confidence that all members of the board then express in the chairman. Any chairman who has to negotiate a fractured board often sees himself out of the door.
Very valid point, Mr. Hegde. I want to come to you, Mr. Ranina, to understand the point you were saying that as of now, looks like that there is only one contender. All the discussions happened that all these conditions needs to be met before the reappointment happen. I want to understand from you, is there a second contender in mind? Do you think that Noel Tata can have a seat or a kind of any other candidate which can be pushed forward in the Tata Sons board?
No, I don't think that there is any contender unless somebody from the board wants to take that position, which I am not aware of. But as far as I can see, I don't think you can put conditions when you want to reappoint somebody. You have to go by his past track record. You have to go by his ability. You have to go by his capability. He has already turned the entire Tata group around because of TCS and other enterprises. And if there are sunrise industries like semiconductors and data centers, they will take their own time to become profitable. These are very critical projects, not only for the Tata group, but for the whole of India, for the whole of world. The whole world is looking at India for the semiconductor business and the data centers. So the question of profitability does not arise. I'm sorry to say, if any board member thinks that he should go by profitability, he's sadly mistaken. This is a very serious issue governing the whole country and the whole of the world, global world, as far as semiconductors and the data centers are concerned. India is emerging as a superpower. And the question of profitability should be totally set aside. I don't expect the Tata group to go by profitability in these type of ventures. They have to look at the entire the global scenario, the way India is going towards. You look at what happened at the AI Impact Summit. The whole world is looking at India. Nobody talks of profitability. So to put conditions, in my opinion, is a very wrong thing to be done. And if any directors put conditions on reappointment of Mr. Chandrasekaran, I think he is totally mistaken. So I hope that the wiser counsel will prevail.
Right, Mr. Ranina.
Reappointed.
Right. Right. Right, Mr. Ranina, and even as you talk about profits, well, we have data that essentially suggests that the Tata Steel, for example, one of the Tata Group companies, the operating profits have only increased, majority of times. Tata Power Company Limited, and in fact, their operating profits year on year have increased, and so is the case with Tata Consumer Products and, of course, TCS, like you rightly mentioned. So what really explains the stance by Mr. Noel Tata and the kind of conditions and the kind of stance that he has made today in that board meeting? Mr. Ranina, if you could answer that, and then we'll come to you, Mr. Hegde.
Yes, I think I cannot answer that question. It is only for Mr. Noel Tata to answer that. But as I said before, it is very wrong, in my opinion, to raise this issue at all. Because the question of profitability is a secondary issue as far as Tatas are concerned. They look at the country. The whole tradition of Jamshedji Tata and his successors was to look to the good of the country. Profitability is the last thing that they should look at, especially at a time when the shareholding is held by charitable trusts which are doing great business. So profitability is not something to be considered. What you have to look at is the growth potential. What you look at as the future. These are future growth industries, which naturally will take 7 to 8 years before they become profitable. But this will put India on the map of the world. And Tata should be proud to be associated with that journey of India. So really, Mr. Noel Tata, if he has raised this issue, I think he should do some rethinking and consider the point that profitability should not be considered, but the growth of the Tata Group and the country has to be looked at.
Right. Mr. Hegde, I want to come to you for a point that there was also discussion as per sources regarding the listing of Tata Sons. Now, this has been a point of debate in past 1 year, and we do not know what is the stance of Reserve Bank of India till now. I want to understand from you whether the listing happens or doesn't happen. It is as per the norms of Reserve Bank of India or the submissions which are made by Tata Sons till now. Can they actually make chairman responsible for that?
See, ultimately the chairman conducts the board meetings and all decisions are taken under the chairman's guidance also. There are two views on whether it should be made a public company or it should not be made a public company. It's obvious that there is a split in the board on that issue. I would disagree with saying that you can't put conditions. I don't think Mr. Noel Tata is putting conditions. He's questioning, where do we go from here? What is our path to profitability? And profits is not necessarily a dirty word. In fact, it was Mr. J.R.D. Tata who had once pointed out to the government that even after they had nationalized Air India, that airlines also have to be profitable. We've seen. So while altruism or enlightened altruism, which looks beyond the quarter-to-quarter syndrome, is a good business vision, but at the end of the day, the bottom line matters. So Mr. Noel Tata is not out of line to ask for clarifications. And Mr. Chandrasekaran has played it correct, saying that, okay, this is where we are going, these are the possibilities. And he's made it clear to the board that unless there is unanimity, it may not be a good idea to rush into extending his term.
Right, right, Mr. Hegde. Let me ask you a follow-up question to what you essentially mentioned. You said that, Noel Tata is perhaps right in asking those questions, and Mr. N Chandra sort of responded to his questions very maturely. But do you sense deeper structural tensions in the way Noel Tata wants to run the conglomerate versus the way Mr. Chandra wants to run it?
Well, the Tata board it's not been unknown in the Tata board that there have been personality clashes or there have been differences in vision. They have, my memory takes me back to the time that when Mr. Ratan Tata himself was inducted by J.R.D. Tata, and then the old guard of Ajit Haksar, Mr. Mulgaonkar, and all those people had their own visions, and then it was Mr. Ratan Tata who imposed, who took the group in a particular way. Now, the transition from Ratan Tata to Cyrus Mistry did not go well. There is that backdrop also. And Mr. Chandrasekaran has managed to stabilize the ship, turn it around in certain places. In certain places, there are still question marks, which any shareholder, much less shareholders with substantial stakes, are bound to ask. I don't think it's extraordinary. It's par for the course.
Ranina, I want to come to you to put your legal hat and help us understand where this matter is going. Now, in all probability, this matter will be further taken up in the June board meeting as per sources. Do you think that there will be further conditions per se on the appointment of N Chandrasekaran, or you think in between the matter could be resolved?
Well, I only hope and pray that this matter is resolved before the next board meeting. If at all there are issues, they can discuss that at various committee meetings. Tata Sons have their own committees, they can discuss internally. The question of profitability and the question of commitments cannot arise. In a business, you have to take certain risks, especially in the case of sunrise industries. Semiconductor industry is one of the most promising industries. It will have a long gestation period, yes, of course. But it will be the most promising, the most profitable business once it goes on stream. The whole world will need semiconductors. No electronic component item works without semiconductors. So India will be a foremost country. The whole world will be looking at this country and the Tata Group for its sustenance. So profitability will come. There's no question about it. I don't see why anybody should even question it. It's bound to happen. But they must not put any conditions. They must look at the capability of the person. And he was capable of taking this company forward, this group forward. That's all that matters.
Absolutely, and it has to be calculated risks that need to be taken, but it remains to be seen how this matter will pan out. Mr. Ranina, Mr. Sanjay Agre, let me ask you, since this issue about reducing the debt of the company has been raised, the issue of not emptying the coffers of the Tata group, that has also been raised. Do you think that, these conditions that have been put forth by Noel Tata, that will impact the risk appetite for future projects by the group? Do you see that happening?
Well, questions have been raised, and they are bound to be raised. If it was not Mr. Tata, Noel Tata,
But do you
it could
see
have been
that?
somebody
Do you see
else.
that happening? Because as of now, what we've seen.
See,
As of now, what we've seen from the Tata Group is that they've tried to enter every sunrise sector. Semiconductor, for example, they've made considerable investments. When you see the plant, that's coming up in Assam, there's one more in Gujarat to the tune of 1 lakh crores. Do you think these concerns which have been raised, they will impact the future risk appetite of the company, and perhaps you see some sort of rationing happening there?
well, once you have committed large sums of money to one project, it is obvious that you can't get into other projects. Nobody has an unlimited supply of money. There are questions about whether these bets, as it were, will ultimately turn out to be profitable. There were questions when Mr. Ratan Tata took over Chorus. There were questions when he took over Land Rover. But one of those bets paid off in spades. One of those bets did not do as well. Obviously, everybody is entitled to guess or second guess, but at the end of the day, you have to put trust in your main manager and let him run with it.
Definitely, point well taken, and thank you so much for joining Mr. Ranina as well as Mr. Hegde on this special discussion. While there is a boardroom battle which is brewing, but overall one can expect that there is still some time, because N Chandrasekaran term is still for 1 year and it expires in February 2027. Thank you so much for all your views.
My pleasure.
And with this, it's time to take another important story of the day, and we are talking about IDFC First Bank, where it had disclosed that there is a